Scary news broadcast. Tonight's headlines come from different corners of the world, but they share one thing in common. Each story leaves behind more questions than answers. What was discovered, what nearly happened, and what should never have occurred now becomes part of a darker global record. In a quiet German neighborhood, an unsettling scene unfolded behind a closed door. Neighbors had noticed an unusual smell coming from an apartment but assumed it was a plumbing issue or spoiled food. Weeks passed before authorities were finally alerted. Inside, they found a man who had passed away due to illness, alone and unnoticed. With no one checking in and no assistance arriving, time continued to move forward, silently. The man's only companion was his pet cat. Experts later explained that in extreme isolation, animals may act on instinct to survive. By the time the apartment was opened, the situation had reached a disturbing conclusion for both owner and pet. The case sparked public discussion across the country about loneliness, social isolation, and how easily someone can disappear without anyone realizing it. Sometimes, the most frightening stories are not about violence, but about silence. A family in northern Thailand lived through a nightmare that sounded impossible until it wasn't. Relatives of a 48-year-old man received official confirmation that he had passed away. Documents were issued. Arrangements were made. Religious rites were completed. A funeral was held. The family mourned, believing they had said their final goodbye. 2 weeks later, the front door opened. The man stood there alive. Shock turned to fear as relatives struggled to understand what they were seeing. Emergency services were called. Authorities were notified. An investigation began immediately. Officials later confirmed that a critical identification error had occurred. The individual laid to rest was not the family member, but someone else entirely. The grave was reopened. Remains were transferred to the correct relatives. Questions followed. How could such a mistake happen, and how many steps failed before the truth was uncovered? For this family, grief turned into disbelief, and the idea of closure was forever changed. In the United States, a long-delayed court decision brought closure to a case described as deeply disturbing. A California man was sentenced to life in prison for the killing of his former spouse. The case, though resolved earlier, only recently became public knowledge. According to court documents, the woman had attempted to rebuild her life after filing for separation and moving to a relative's home with her children. Investigators say the accused tracked her down and confronted her when she was alone. After the murder, the man attempted to cover up the crime. He wrapped the body in a blanket, transported it to a remote area near Little Rock, and buried it. The following day, he returned to the burial site and, as he later admitted to investigators, desecrated the body before burying the remains again. Prosecutors emphasized the lack of remorse shown during the investigation and trial. The sentence ensures the man will never return to society. The case remains a stark reminder that the most dangerous threat is often not a stranger, but someone once trusted. In one of the coldest cities on Earth, a moment of bravado nearly turned fatal. In Yakutsk, Russia, where winter temperatures routinely fall below -50 degrees Celsius, a foreign tourist decided to test his limits. Surrounded by locals, the man entered an opening cut into thick ice, a tradition meant for experienced participants, not curiosity seekers. The reaction was immediate. The extreme cold triggered an intense physical shock. Breathing became difficult, the heart raced, and muscle control weakened within seconds. The man was pulled out almost instantly, but the damage had already begun. Medical staff later confirmed that only rapid intervention prevented a tragedy. Even brief exposure to such conditions can overwhelm the human body before it has time to react. Yakutsk is known for its unforgiving climate. In winter, the air itself becomes a threat, and mistakes are not forgiven. Locals respect the cold, visitors often underestimate it. This incident now serves as a warning. Nature does not care about confidence, cameras, or challenges. In extreme cold, survival is measured in seconds. Authorities in Istanbul are investigating a disturbing discovery that has shaken the city. Early in the morning, a man collecting recyclable paper opened a public waste container and immediately realized something was wrong. Inside, wrapped tightly in household fabric, was the body of a woman. Parts were missing, and the scene suggested an intentional attempt to conceal the truth rather than an accident. Police quickly sealed off the area. Forensic teams arrived, followed by detectives from the Major Crimes Division. Using fingerprint records, investigators identified the victim as a 37-year-old woman from Uzbekistan who had been living in the city. According to preliminary findings, the incident may have followed a personal conflict. Investigators believe someone known to the victim was involved. Shortly after the discovery, 2 foreign nationals attempted to leave the country but were stopped at the airport. A local citizen was later taken into custody as well. Officials continue to reconstruct the final hours leading up to the incident. Witnesses are being questioned, surveillance footage is under review, and authorities are urging anyone with information to come forward. Istanbul, a city of millions, woke up to a chilling reminder. Danger does not always announce itself. Sometimes it is hidden in plain sight. Authorities in Bangkok are reviewing a disturbing incident after a 65-year-old woman unexpectedly regained consciousness just minutes before her planned cremation. What was supposed to be a final farewell turned into a moment of shock inside a local temple, leaving witnesses shaken and officials demanding answers. The event unfolded in the province of Nonthaburi, just outside the Thai capital. According to the woman's brother, she had been bedridden for nearly 2 years and stopped showing any signs of awareness 2 days prior. Believing she had peacefully passed away, the man placed her in a coffin and drove toward a medical center where she had previously expressed a desire to donate her organs. The hospital, however, refused to accept the body due to the lack of an official death certificate. From there, the brother transported the coffin to a nearby temple for cremation. As the monks began reviewing details of the ceremony, a faint, rhythmic knocking sound echoed from inside the coffin. When temple workers hesitantly opened the lid, the attendees froze. The woman was alive. Staff members later explained that she had likely been knocking for some time but went unheard amid the preparations. The revived woman was immediately examined and transferred to a nearby clinic for urgent care. Temple representatives stated they would cover all medical expenses, expressing relief that the mistake was caught before the ceremony began. Officials are now attempting to determine how the woman's condition was misinterpreted and why no medical confirmation had been requested prior to transportation. Local health departments warn that even in remote areas, families should always seek official verification before declaring a loved one deceased. A chilling story from the United States has resurfaced after new interviews revealed the disturbing experience of Camilla Gent, a woman who spent nearly 2 weeks in a coma following a severe medical emergency. Gent, a spiritual counselor from Oregon, was rushed into surgery in 2013 after developing a life-threatening infection. After the operation, she slipped into a 13-day coma. During that time, she later claimed to have experienced a vivid, terrifying descent into a dark realm unlike anything she had imagined. According to her account, she found herself surrounded by shadowy figures that crawled near her and whispered deceptive visions about her loved ones. She described the place as a realm without comfort, filled with confusion and overwhelming dread. Just as the visions grew unbearable, she claimed a massive radiant hand appeared above her, pulling her upward. She reported seeing 2 angelic beings guiding her through a landscape of bright grass and blooming flowers that moved as though alive. In this peaceful domain, She said she encountered a presence she interpreted as divine, one that reviewed her life, her choices, and her struggles. Gent stated she spent what felt like 3 days in this peaceful place before being told she must return. The presence explained that her journey was not over and that she still had a purpose to fulfill on Earth. When she awoke, doctors were astonished by her sudden recovery. She now speaks publicly about her experience, believing she was allowed to witness both darkness and light so she could warn others and offer comfort to those afraid of the unknown. In a rural region of India, a heartbreaking story of loss and superstition has prompted calls for greater public education after a young boy's parents attempted an unusual ritual in hopes of bringing him back to life. The boy, a 4th grade student from Hathras, had lost consciousness after a venomous snake bite. Despite doctors' efforts, they could not save him. When the family received the devastating news, they refused to accept it, insisting that hope remained if they followed traditional revival beliefs practiced by some villagers. The parents brought the child back to their home, where villagers gathered for 3 days to conduct rituals they believed might restore life. The boy was covered with leaves and a layer of cow manure, a practice thought by some to draw out harmful energies. Villagers gently tapped his legs from time to time, watching closely for any sign of movement. Despite the community's desperate dedication, the ritual yielded no results. On the 4th day, local authorities learned of the situation and intervened. The boy's body was taken for proper funerary procedures and later cremated. Officials stated that no charges would be filed against the grieving family, emphasizing that their actions were driven by heartbreak, not malice. However, the incident sparked renewed discussion about the need for educational outreach in rural regions, where traditional beliefs can sometimes overshadow medical guidance. New footage from a live webcam overlooking Scotland's famous Loch Ness has stirred fresh debate among longtime believers and skeptics alike. A dark shape rising several feet above the surface appeared briefly on screen, moving with slow, deliberate motion before disappearing beneath the waves less than a minute later. The anomaly was captured from the Shoreland Lodge's viewpoint, a popular location for monitoring the lake. It emerged shortly after a tourist boat passed through the area, leading some observers to claim the movement could not have been caused by waves alone. Veteran Loch Ness watcher Owen O'Fottigain, known for submitting more than 24 potential sightings since 2018, was among the first to document the event. He described it as one of the clearest shapes he had ever seen and promptly filed it for review in the official Loch Ness Sightings Register. Despite more than 1,000 historical reports, scientific scans from the lake have never produced confirmed evidence of a large unknown creature. Still, supporters of the legend insist the lake's depth and murky waters could easily conceal life that rarely surfaces. For now, the mysterious silhouette remains unexplained, adding another chapter to the world's most enduring cryptozoological mystery. A driver traveling from Orizaba to Nogales in Mexico unintentionally captured a puzzling aerial object in a photograph that has since gained widespread attention online. The driver initially believed he had simply photographed a scenic hill, but while reviewing the images later, he noticed a strange disc-shaped form hovering above the horizon. At first he suspected it might be a smudge or reflection, but the object appeared sharply defined against the sky. After sharing the picture on social media, the image quickly sparked debate. Some commenters suggested the photo might show an unidentified craft passing over the hill at the moment the picture was taken. Others, more skeptical, argued that the shape could have been a trick of the light, a distant aircraft, or even an optical distortion caused by the camera lens. Experts have not yet analyzed the photo, but many viewers insist the object's smooth outline and position in the frame make it difficult to dismiss. Whether it is an unexplained aerial phenomenon or a mundane misinterpretation remains unclear. For now, the mysterious disc has joined the growing archive of puzzling sky sightings that continue to fascinate and divide the online community. You were born where the silence leans between my anger and no machines. Your first breath hit like morphine streams, breaking apart my metal routines. Your hands were small but they held the sun, while I was chasing the sound.